everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this super cool, super duper wide infinity scarf. I think it's awesome. Not to mention, it's going to be super warm for fall and winter. And it's going to be the new trend. I don't know if it will be, but I'm just saying that. So anyways, this is what it looks like. It's pretty thick, and you can adjust the length and the thickness. So it does have some texture. As you can see, it does have some bobbles, some post stitches, double crochet, single crochet, but overall it's not a hard pattern. But you will need to know how to do bobbles and post stitches. But you know, I'm confident I can show you if you don't know how. So let me give you a quick measurement here so you know what size mine is. You've seen me in the picture. Now this is folded in half because it's an infinity scarf. So halfway is about 29 inches and long. And then width-wise is about 13 inches. Of course, your beginning chain will be the big ring, so you can adjust that, which will make it shorter if you want, and then you can adjust the rows. One thing I do want to mention before we get started, in the picture you can see, well, you probably can't see, I designed it where the bobbles are here and there's bobbles here, but here I did not put no bobbles. In the picture, this is the part that I have in front that is folded over like a collar. So if you want to wear it like me, leave the part that doesn't have the bobbles in the front of you, and that way you can fold it over like a collar if you choose. If you choose to wear it that way, you can wear it any way you want. Okay, set that to the side, and I'll show you what yarn I used. So for this project, I used a Lion brand Thick and Quick woolies. Now this is their bonus bundle pack. There are 174 yards of a 80 acrylic 20% wool blend, super bulky number 6. Now this is my third one, and I probably just used about a quarter of it. So if you're going to use a bulky 6, you're going to need 2 out of 174, then like quarter of another one. Now you don't have to use a bulky 6. Of course, any bulky 6 will work, but if you want to use a 4-weight yarn or a 5-weight or a 3-weight, you can just adjust your chain, your beginning chain, for as long as you want it to be. I'll give you the multiple and everything, and it's really not hard to adjust to any size yarn that you want. So if you don't have this bulky 6, or you don't even have a bulky 6 laying around, 4-weight's fine, 5-weight's fine, 3-weight's fine. Just remember though, it's going to take you a little longer, and your chain amount will be quite a bit bigger than what it would be with the 6-weight, but that's fine. And then I'm going to be using a size N, which is a 10 millimeter, and some ends are actually 9, so either one of those will work. Now I would recommend though, if you use a different size yarn, if you use a 4 or a 5-weight, I would probably use a 6 millimeter crochet hook, and if you use a 3-weight, I would probably drop that down to about a 5 millimeter. But I use 10 or 9, whichever one you have, for the 6-weight. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start out with one big long chain, and we will be slip stitching into the first stitch to make one huge ring. Now I'm doing a chain. I have a chain of 100 here for mine. Now you've seen mine in the pictures, and I gave you the measurements. If you want to make yours bigger or smaller, that's fine. It just needs to be a multiple of 2. So any multiple of 2 will work if you want to adjust the size. Following along with me though, for the measurements that I gave, I chained 100. So I'm going to follow it all the way down without twisting my chain, and I will slip stitch into my first stitch to form my big ring. Excuse me. Just like that. Now I am going to chain 1. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It doesn't count as anything, and I apologize that my yarn is a little dark. Now I'm going to go right back into that same spot that I just slip stitched into, and I'm going to do a single crochet. And now I am going to work around my large ring, putting one single crochet in every stitch until I get back to my starting point. So row 1 is just one single crochet, or round one, in every stitch until I make it back all the way around my large ring to my starting point. Just like that. So I'll continue around my big old ring until I get right back here, and I'll meet back up with you. Alright, I have made it back to my starting point at the end of round 1, and I have 100 stitches. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first single crochet. Not the chain one that we made, but the first single crochet. And that will end round 1. Now round 2 is going to start the repeat rounds. So we will start by chaining 1. Chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to go right back in that same spot there that we just slip stitched into and do a double crochet. Now we're going to work around, and we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around. So round 2 is fairly easy. It's just one double in every stitch all the way around your big ring until you get back to your starting point. There we go, just like that. That's a pretty color. So I'm going to continue around with the double in every stitch until I make it back to my starting point. I've made it to the end of round 2, and I have 100 stitches still. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and slip stitch into my first double crochet. Remember, not that chain one here, but the very first double crochet. Go ahead and end that round, 100 stitches, and then we'll start round 3. So we're going to start round 3, chaining 1. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to go right back there, right where we slip stitched, and double crochet. Now the next stitch, what we're going to do is a front post double crochet. So we're going to move to the next stitch right here. Instead of working into the top of the post, or top of the stitch, we're just going to be working around the post. So we're going to yarn over and go around the post like that, and then we go ahead and do a double crochet. Just like that. Now the next stitch, we're just going to do a regular double crochet into the top of the stitch. And then the next stitch, we'll do our front post double crochet. So instead of working into the top, we're going to be working around the post. So we yarn over, go take your hook, go behind the post, and then back forward. That way the front of your post is on the post is on the front of your hook. And then go ahead and do a double crochet as normal. And that's the pattern we're going to repeat all the way around for round 3. Regular double crochet into the top of the next stitch, front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch, regular double into the top of the next, and front post double around the post of the next. So we're going to repeat this pattern of front post double crochet, a regular double crochet, front post double crochet, a regular double crochet, all the way around until we get back to our starting point. And this is what it starts to look like. It starts to develop posts, which you will see more when we get another row of posts on them. But that's what it starts to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on in that same manner until I get back to my starting point. Alright, I come to the end of round 3, and your last stitch should have been a front post double crochet. And now you want to go ahead and end round 3 by slip stitching into your first double crochet, and you should still have 100 stitches. So 100 is the magic number. We're going to have that on every round from now on. So now we're going to start round 4. And round 4, it's just a repeat of what we just did on round 3. So round 4, we're going to repeat round 3. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into that same stitch and double crochet. And then the next stitch, we are going to do a front post double crochet. And you can see the front post double crochet from the previous round. Just go right around that and do your front post double crochet. And then we do a regular double crochet into the top of the next stitch. And a front post double crochet around the post of the next. And you can see that is the post from the previous round. So we're just keeping our posts lined up. Regular double crochet into the next. And a front post double crochet into the next. So for round 4, we're just going to keep repeating what we did on round 3. Now you can tell the posts are a little bit more visible because they're getting longer. But go ahead and continue the front post double crochet, regular double crochet, repeat, just as we did on round 3 for round 4 until we get back to our starting point. Alright, I made it to the end of round 4. Again, you should have ended in a front post double crochet there, 100 stitches, and we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into the top of our first double crochet. Round 5 now we're going to start. So now we're going to start round 5. Round 5 is a very easy round. We're going to chain 1. Doesn't count as a stitch. Go back into that same stitch and we're going to do a single crochet. And we're going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch across all the way around until we get back to our starting point. So round 5 is just 1 single crochet in every stitch. Pretty easy. So I'm going to continue around with my 1 single crochet until I make it back to my starting point. Alright, so I've made it to the end of round 5. 100 single crochets is what you should have. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch into our first single crochet. Now we will start round 6. We are going to chain 1. Doesn't count as a stitch. Go right back here where we just slip stitched and do a double crochet. Now round 6 is going to be 1 double crochet in every stitch around. So another pretty easy round. Just working 1 double in every stitch until you get back to your starting point. Just like that. Alright, so I'm coming to the end of row 6, 100 stitches still. Go ahead and end by slip stitching into your first double crochet. Just like so. Now we're going to work round 7. Easy round again. We're going to chain 1. We're going to go back into that same stitch and single crochet. So round 7 is a row of 1 single crochet in every stitch. Just like this. So I will continue around putting 1 single in every stitch for round 7 until I get back to my starting point. Alright, I have come to the end of round 7. 100 stitches. Go ahead and slip stitch into your first single crochet. Round 8. We're going to do round 8 a little bit different. It's going to be the bobble stitch round. Now in order for the bobbles to face right side out, we have to work them on the wrong side. So what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn our work around. Now we'll be working on the back side. So let's look here and see what we're going to do here. Okay, we want to go ahead and single crochet right back into this very first stitch right here. Single crochet. And now we're going to work a bobble into the next stitch. Remember, working on the back side of our work. So our next stitch is not this little space here. That's the chain one from the previous round. It's actually over here. So we're going to go over there and we're going to work a bobble, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. So we're going to yarn over, go into that stitch, draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. We're going to do that 3 times. We're going to do it again. We're going to yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. So we have done that twice. Again, one more time, we're going to yarn over and go into that same stitch and draw up a loop, and we're going to yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. You should have 4 loops that remain. We're going to yarn over and go through all 4 loops. I like to give the bobbles a tug. And then we're going to go to the very next stitch and single crochet. Just like that. Now, when you turn your work back around, you will see the bobble right there. Nice. So that's what we're going to do the whole way around. The bobble row will probably be a little time consuming. Sometimes bobbles are a little time consuming, but I'm going to go ahead and show you again. So we did the single crochet. So what we're going to do in the next stitch is a bobble again. So we're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, draw up a loop, and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. We want to do that 3 times, so that counts as number 1. Again, yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. That's 2 times. One more time. Yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through the first 2. You should have 4 that remain. Yarn over, go through all 4, give it a good tug, and then we will single crochet into the next stitch. That kind of locks that bobble down, just like that. I'll do it one more time for you. So we're going to bobble into the next stitch. So we yarn over, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through the first 2 loops. We need to do that 3 times. That was number 1. Yarn over, go into the same spot, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2. That's 2 times. One more time. Yarn over, go into the next, or the same stitch, I'm sorry, draw up a loop, yarn over, and go through the first 2. You'll have 4 loops that remain. Yarn over, go through all 4, give it a tug, and then single crochet into your next stitch. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. I'll turn it back around to the right side. Look at those pretty, I think making bobbles with chunky yarn is so stinking cool. They stick out so well, and they just make such a project to stand out. I love bobbles and heavyweight yarn, but sometimes I'm weird. So let's continue that pattern all the way around. Bobble, single, bobble, single, bobble, single, until you get back over here to your starting point. Okay, I have come to the end of round 8. Now your last stitch should have been a bobble, and then what you do, there's no stitches left to single crochet in. There's no more stitches. That's not a stitch, that's from the beginning one. What we're going to do is end this bobble here by slip stitching into our first single crochet that we made from that row. Now if you count every bobble and every single crochet, you'll still have 100 stitches. So now what I'm going to do is chain 1 and turn my work back around. So that is the only row that we work on the opposite side, is row 8, and then when we repeat row 8 again, the bobble stitch row is always worked on the opposite side. Okay, so let's start row 9. Row 9. Okay, we're going to, let's look at it here. Let's single crochet into the first single crochet, so that would be right here. And now we're going to single crochet on top of the next bobble. So you look at your bobble and you see, it's probably hard to see with this dark yarn, but there are 2 loops at the top of it. Just go through those loops and single crochet. And now we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, which is a single crochet. It's in between the 2 bobbles. So right, if you pull them apart, you'll see it right there. Single crochet again and on top of the next bobble. Single crochet in the next single crochet, which is in between the next 2 bobbles. Single crochet on top of the next bobble. Single crochet into the next single crochet, which is between the 2 bobbles. So round 9, what we're doing is we're single crocheting into every single crochet and on top of every bobble all the way around. So it's basically just a round of single crochet. One on top of every bobble and one into every single crochet. Now I'm going to continue working round 9 until I get back to my starting point. Don't worry if this is flipping up, it's okay. We'll take care of that later. Alright, I've come to the end of round 9. My last single crochet went into the top of this last bobble, and now I'm going to end by slip stitching into my first single crochet. 100 stitches is what I should still have. Okay, and now we're going to start round 10. Round 10. We're going to chain 1. We're going to go right back into that same spot and double crochet. And round 10 is 1 double crochet in every stitch all the way around until you get back to your starting point. So round 10 is pretty easy. 1 double every stitch. Just like that. So I'm going to continue working 1 double in every stitch, and I'll meet back up with you when I get over here to the end of round 10. Alright, I've come to the end of round 10. 100 stitches still. I'm going to go to end by slip stitching into my first double crochet. We're still working on our repeat rows. Now, this round 11 is the last row of the repeat, and then we will start back over way down here. Are you ready? So we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to put a single crochet right back into that same stitch. And we're going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. So round 11 is 1 round of 1 single crochet in every stitch until we get back to our starting point. Okay, I'm coming to the end of round 11. I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into my first single crochet. 100 stitches. So there it is. That's the repeat rows. Rows 2 through 11. So it's a 10 row repeat. But the repeats are pretty easy rows. A lot of them are double crochet and single crochet rows. But so you don't have to fiddle around, rewinding me, trying to find all the rows. Look below in the comments section, and I will put timestamps starting with row 2 all the way up to row 11. That way you can just click on that, whichever row you're trying to repeat, so you don't have to keep rewinding me. So I am going to continue. I am going to start row 12, which is actually a repeat of row 2, which was a double crochet row. Now remember, you're always going to have 100 stitches, if you're following along with me, at the end of every row. If you started with a different number than I did, you'll have the same amount of stitches at the end of every row. Now you want to repeat this for as thick as you want it to be. That is entirely up to you. I'm going to make mine a bit thicker to where it will come up over my head in case, you know, like it's cold and you want to put it up over your head, I guess. Towel slash over the head hood, something like that. But I'm going to keep going, and like I said, look in the comment section. It'll be the first comment. I'll pin it up there, and I'll have timestamps for all the repeat rows 2 through 11. And I'll let you know in just a second for you, probably a couple hours for me. I'll let you know how many repeat rows I do. Alright, so I went ahead and did one more complete repeat. So you can see here, let me move my camera up. My first repeat ended, and then right here, and then I did another one. I just did the row of bobbles, the row of single crochet, and the double crochet and the single crochet. So that ended the repeat, and I could start again and repeat if I want. I'm not going to. I'm going to stop there. I believe I have a total of 21 rows. This is what I believe, and it ended me on a single crochet row. So I just finished a single crochet row. So I'm going to do a finishing edge on both sides. Of course, you can make it bigger if you want. It isn't an oversized infinity scarf, so you can pretty much probably almost wear it as a shawl wrapped around. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and chain one. I did this last row of single crochet here, which ended my last repeat. Now what I'm going to do is one more row of single crochet. So I'm going to go back into that same spot and single crochet, and I'm going to work one row of single crochet all the way around until I get back to the beginning. And then when I get back to the beginning, I'll have my 100 stitches. I will tie off or end with the slip stitch into my first single crochet. I will tie off, and I'll meet you back up there, and we'll do a finishing row on the opposite side, and then we'll be finished after our finishing rows. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this row out, one single crochet in every stitch all the way around. Okay, so I finished that. I slip stitched in my first single crochet, I tied off, and I hid that tail. Now I'm going to flip my work around to where I started. You can see right here is the tail where I started. I'm going to go around that bottom edge with the row of single crochet also, just to clean up that edge. And then I think that's probably all I'm going to do. So I don't have a lot of room up here, but just start in any stitch here along the back. Pull your yarn through, chain one, go back into that same stitch and single crochet, and then go ahead and work one single crochet across this bottom here where we first made our first row of single crochet, and just make one single crochet in every stitch here along the bottom where we made our first row of single crochet, and that will finish that edge up. So I will go around this putting one single crochet in every stitch, and when I get to the finish line, which would be right back here to where I started, I'll end by slip stitching into my first single crochet. You'll have 100 stitches, and if you're following along with me, and then I will clip my tail, tie off, and we should be finito after that. So I'll be back up with you when I'm finished with that, and we'll check it out. Alright, there it is. Finished. I think it looks good. I tried it on. It looks awesome. I really, really like it. I think it's got lots of texture to it. It looks pretty good. I might wear it now and again. I don't know. I'm not much on wearing crochet, but I can probably handle a scarf. So I might keep this for myself. I really love the colors in it. So thanks everybody for joining me. I hope that you were able to follow along okay. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that like button. Also, if you look at the end of the screen here, there's probably some videos popping up of all my I don't know, just some videos that you might be interested in. Check them out if you want. Don't forget to hit me up on Instagram too. There's a link below in the description box. Come follow me there. It's cool there. I post new things there and stuff that you probably won't see on YouTube. So you until next time, stay safe and have a good day.